I'm here to just give you a brief snapshot of your retirement benefits. And so I've condensed it to 3 pages and I speak quickly. So if I say something that doesn't make sense, if I say something that contradicts something that you heard from someone other than a person who worked from PERA, please stop me and ask your question and I'd be happy to address it. So at the top of this page, you're going to see that PERA was broken into 2 tiers of membership. That is courtesy of the 2013 legislative session. Depending on your status in one date in time, one date, will determine whether you're a Tier 1 member of PERA or a Tier 2 member of PERA. If you were hired on or before June 30th of 2013 with any PERA of New Mexico entity, you are a Tier 1 member. If you were not actively employed on June 30th of 2013, but you worked somewhere that was PERA related previously, and you had a positive balance of contributions and service credit on June 30th of 2013, you forever will be Tier 1. Obviously, our retirees as of that date are also Tier 1. We can't go back and change their status after their retirement date. And so that defines our Tier 1 membership. You are Tier 2 if you fall into one of 2 categories. 1, if this is your very first PERA-related job, you forever will be Tier 2. The second qualification for Tier 2 is someone who worked for a PERA entity prior to July 1st of 2013, who left employment and took a refund of their bucket of contributions and service credit, and now they're returning to employment July 1st of 13 or later. Those individuals, even if they buy back their time, will forever be Tier 2. So, Tier 2 definition, Tier 1 definition. Box in the center of the page shows the 4 plans that the city offers to its employees. The position that you are filling today determines which of these 4 plans you fall under. If you are one of APD's cadets, you are part of Police Plan 5. When I present at the Fire Academy, their certified fire cadets are part of Fire Plan 5. If you are a civilian, you're not a sworn officer, you're not a certified firefighter, and you're not an inmate transport officer, you are part of Municipal Plan 3. Only inmate transport officers, and there's only a handful for the City of Albuquerque, fall under Municipal Officer Detention Plan 1. And so, each of these plans has a set contribution rate. The beautiful thing is, coming to work for the City of Albuquerque means you don't pay the full employee percentage. Depending on which position you fill and those contract negotiations, the city's paying up to 75% of your employee contributions on top of the employer contributions they are required to pay on your behalf. Anything that's designated an employee contribution goes to PERA, tied to your Social Security number, and deposits in your bucket. It doesn't matter to us which of the 4 plans you work under, because you can switch from civilian to police to fire and back again, as long as you're using the same Social Security number, whether it's at the city, the county, the state, any PERA-related employer, your bucket follows you. Each of these plans has a multiplier tied to the plan and your tier of membership. Why is it important to know which plan and how that all works? It isn't today. Honestly, at some point you're going to be eligible for retirement, even though it seems like it's really far away right now, and I know it does. Your first day of employment, you shouldn't be thinking about retirement, but that lovely percentage that you see here in this column will eventually help PERA calculate your benefits when you are ready to retire. And so, the last column talks to you about our plan's maximum percentage. For those of you who have relatives who have been PERA members before, prior to 2013, our plan maxed out almost in every single plan at 80%. And so our members now have the ability to max out at 90%. Depending on which plan and which tier that percentage you have, you would divide 90 by your percentage, and that would tell you how many years you need to work to be retirement eligible at 90%. And so, bottom of the first page talks about earning service credit and vesting. If you are a Tier 1 member of PERA, you vest after 5 years of service credit. If you are a Tier 2 member of PERA under Municipal Plan 3, you vest after 8 years of service credit. If you fall under Municipal Detention Officer Plan 1, Police Officer Plan 5, or Fire Plan 5, and you are a Tier 2 member, you will vest after 6 years of service. Lots of times people come to me and they say, well, Christina, I don't understand what it means to vest. That's a horrible, horrible thing to call it when it doesn't make any sense to me. And so for your purposes, vesting in a retirement plan means that when you meet the eligibility to retire, in our plan, you can draw a lifetime retirement benefit once a month for the rest of your life, even if you live to be 114. And so, doesn't matter what you pay in based on your contributions, once a month for the rest of your lifetime. So vesting in our plan is a humongous deal. People would probably give their right arm, maybe, to vest in our plan. Very few retirement plans offer a lifetime benefit. Service credit is a big deal because you need to earn service credit to be retirement eligible. Service credit is based on 3 items. Your hire date in the city's plan is very important to us. All of you in this room have the same hire date, April 4th, 2015, for the particular position you are filling right now. Whether you were a PERA member prior to that, whether you changed positions later, this date right now will tell PERA that you've met the first requirement for earning service credit, which is you were hired on or before the 16th day of the month. Every month from your first to your last, as long as you are classified as a full-time employee, you need to be reported as having earned a minimum of 80 hours worth of salary each and every month from beginning to end. Any month that dips below that 80-hour threshold as a full-time employee will be a month that you have to make up later for retirement eligibility. If you are part-time, you need to contact PERA for service credit eligibility requirements because item number 2 does not pertain to you. So if you're part-time, you need to contact PERA because we need to look at your vesting status as of June 30th of 14, and it's lots of fun thereafter. The third requirement is the same for everyone. The day you give up your day job is really important to us. If you end employment before the 15th day of the month, that month doesn't count for service credit purposes. So if you have a say in the matter, shoot for a date past the 15th day of the month so that month of service credit will be in your bucket. Because if you leave employment at some point in the future by choice, by force, whatever it is, you're going to want to have as much service credit under your belt because the most famous last words are, I will never work for XYZ ever again. I'm proof. Everyone comes back. And so you want to be able to pick up right where you left off and have that month of service credit under your belt. All right, any questions on the first page? Yes?
I'm sorry, it's some of a personal question. I've got just under 9 years with the state of New Mexico. I just ended employment with them March 31st.
Okay.
Do I have the 5 years vesting still, or do I have to start over again as a city employee?
So I'm going to generic the question up just a little bit so that other people who hear it won't know it's specifically for you. And so the question is, I had 9+ years with a previous employer that is PERA related, state of New Mexico. Do I start over with this new employment, or do my 9 years count toward my vesting and toward my retirement eligibility? And the answer is, as long as you did not request a refund when you left employment, you're picking up right where you left off. And so you ended employment after the 15th day of the month. More than likely you had 80 hours your last month of employment. So basically you're picking up with a new month now in April. Absolutely. All right. And so on to page 2. Broken up into 2 columns. We're looking at the left-hand side first. In just a few moments for the city's HR and benefits staff, you're going to be filling out 2 PERA forms. One is your application for membership. It tells us who you are, your social security number, how to reach you, your current mailing address, and your hire date. Lots of things the city has to certify for us. And then you're going to fill out something known as a beneficiary designation form, and I'm going to talk about that more in just a moment. But every fall, PERA mails out an annual member statement. And the only way we know how to reach you is when you write and give us your address. By right, you know, this is not the Stone Age. We don't expect you to take out a hunk of the mountain and carve out your address. We'll take an email. We'll take a form. You can log into your online self-service account that I'll talk about here in just a little bit and update your address. But the only way your annual member statement's going to reach you is if you tell us where to find you. Because PERA, as of right now, doesn't have a way to check your Facebook status and see that you got married and you moved and you know, it doesn't work that way. We're not in that era yet. Hopefully we will be soon. But for the time being, you have to give us written notification, typed notification of your new mailing address. For those of you who are not planning to move between now and this fall when PERA issues annual member statements, you should receive an annual member statement if this is your very first PERA-related employment that reflects service credit for April, May, and June. So if this is your first annual member statement that you're getting this year, because it runs for fiscal years, July 1st through June 30th, you should get your first annual member statement this fall reflecting 3 months of service credit. If it says anything else, you need to stop what you're doing and get in touch with PERA to figure out where the discrepancy is. This will be a great way to see if you have other PERA service credit, because that annual member statement would reflect any periods of previous PERA-related employment that you may have. So, every time you move, it is your responsibility to go up to City Insurance and Benefits, Old City Hall, 7th floor, room 702, and fill out a PERA change in records form, as well as any documentation they ask you to complete to keep your benefits on the city side up to date, right? So, good news. You're also going to be filling out a beneficiary form, which is the second topic on the left-hand side of page 2. When I came to work for the city fresh out of UNM, the HR ladies I had interned with while I was employed here pulled me aside on a break and they said, okay, Christina, we love you and we want the best for you, and we don't want you to name your boyfriend as your beneficiary. And all I could think was, that's horrible. He's cute, he's sweet, he's nice. Why would I not want to do that? Except that I work for PERA now, and I know exactly why I would not want to do that. Yeah, and so I'm not saying, you know, that today you shouldn't name your significant other. What I'm saying is, name the person that you know will do what you want them to do with the money in the event you pass away before you retire. Because the form you're filling out today for PERA is going to tell us who to pay in the event of your pre-retirement death. And so, had I named that boyfriend and I passed away before I vested, whether it's 5 years, 6 years, or 8 years, PERA would have paid a one-time lump sum refund of my bucket of contributions to that boyfriend, and then no other money would be paid. And the same is true for all of you. Your refund beneficiary, one-time lump sum, if you pass before you vest. Now the problem with that is, if my boyfriend and I broke up 2 weeks before I passed, APD would probably be looking into it, right? Yeah? And then my ex would be getting that money. And so it doesn't mean you can't name your significant other today. It just means that the second that person's name starts with the word X, you need to hustle in and fill out a new form, right? We're all on the same page? The second type of beneficiary, and it's all on one form for you today, is called a survivor beneficiary. The survivor beneficiary is eligible to receive a once-a-month lifetime benefit in your name if you pass away from the time that you vest until you're eligible to retire but you have not, or any time during your career if your death is duty related. Now, Julia talked to you about workplace violence, and no one can control what people do, but if you are in public safety, you all would agree that your job is more dangerous than those of us who sit in an office. And so it's really important that you think long and hard about who your survivor and refund beneficiaries are. Significant others are great, but the second that situation changes, you have to hustle in and update your form. All right, good times. And so I will stick around during the HR and benefits portion getting you through your forms, and then if there are any questions, I'd be happy to address those. But naming a beneficiary, big deal at PERA. On the right-hand side of page 2, for those of you who did not get the words of wisdom that I received when I left the city of Albuquerque, which were, beg, borrow, or steal, don't take out your PERA retirement. Ironically, I was a civilian in the police department at the time, so I don't think they were telling me to steal. But just in case, I decided to just leave the money alone. For those of you who didn't get those words of wisdom, it's okay. We think we're never going to retire, we're never going to come back to XYZ ever again. The good news is you can buy that time back. It doesn't change your tier status, but it will allow you to add that service credit that you took out previously towards your current bucket of retirement. You can see the bulleted list shows you the interest rates that are currently in play at PERA. The longer ago you took out that money, the more expensive it is to pay it back now. So my best words of wisdom are, once your first payroll gets entered at PERA, which is generally 6 to 8 weeks from now, that would be the time to request the cost to reinstate that time. The bottom right-hand side of page 2 talks about other types of service credit members can purchase. So if you're Tier 1 and you're already vested, you can purchase up to 1 year of service credit known as airtime. It literally comes from taking service credit out of thin air, adding it to your bucket. It's not tied to any one period of employment, and you have the ability to add that 1 year if you give us the associated monies to cover the cost. If you've served active duty military prior to employment, thank you first and foremost for your service to our country. Second, you can buy your active duty military up to 5 years of service towards your PERA retirement. So if you're, in a plan that requires X amount of years, you can shorten that by up to 6 with 5 years of military and 1 year of airtime. Keep in mind that you can only buy 5 years of military if you actually served 5 years of active duty military, right? I can't just whip that out of thin air. You need a DD-214 form reflecting the dates of service and your discharge status. All right, page 3. We're on the home stretch now. So I mentioned earlier something known as our online self-service feature. Our software that we adopted in 2005 is called RIO. It's an acronym that stands for Retirement Information Online. And you have the ability, once your first payroll is posted, to go to PERA's website, which is listed for you here, click on the green button in the upper left-hand corner of the page, and then when it redirects you to our self-service site, there's a green bar along the top that says create an account, and once you verify who you are, you can see everything I see sitting from my desk. All of your contributions, your beneficiary designation, all of your address information. You can, once you're vested, calculate the cost of airtime in an estimate form. When you're retirement eligible, you can estimate your retirement benefits. And so you have a really great ability to have retirement information at your fingertips. All right, so how long do you have to work before you are retirement eligible? Depends on your tier status. For those of you who are Tier 1, the left-hand side of page 3 shows you that if you are part of Municipal Plan 3 or Detention Officer Plan 1, you can retire at any age once you have 25 years of service credit. There are some other age and service markers built in, but the minimum is 65 birthdays and 5 years of service credit. If you are Tier 1 and you fall under Police Plan 5 or Fire Plan 5, you can still retire 20 years at any age or a minimum of 5 years and 65 birthdays. For those of you that are Tier 2, you'll find your retirement eligibility on the right-hand side of page 3. We are going to start with Municipal General Plan 3 members. 2 requirements. You just need to meet 1. The smallest requirement is 65 birthdays and 8 years of service credit. If you think, I don't want to have to work to that many birthdays, there is a way to retire sooner, and it's known as the Rule of 85. The way to figure out Rule of 85 if you're part of Municipal General Plan 3 Tier 2 is to take the number 85, and we all have smartphones with apps that sometimes help us instead of crash our whole phone. And so if you opened up your calculator app, typed in the number 85, and you subtracted your age today, when you get that result and you divide it by 2, you will figure out the approximate number of years you need to work to be retirement eligible as a Tier 2 Municipal General Plan 3 member. If you are part of Police Plan 5, Fire Plan 5, or Detention Officer Plan 1, you still have the only true 25-year retirement at any age that is available to a Tier 2 member. And so, 25 years on the force, you can retire with PERA regardless of how young you are. The minimum for Police, Fire, and Detention Officer Plan 1 under Tier 2 is 60 years of age and 6 years of service. Oh, I lied. 65 and 6. I'm trying to cheat. All right, so Linda Garza from City's Insurance and Benefits is going to be up here to speak to you in just a moment. She is going to talk to you about something that's very important, but it comes way at the end of the presentation. It is known as deferred compensation. Those lovely HR ladies that gave me all of that wonderful advice when I first came to work here many years ago, they told me, participate in deferred comp. Start now, before you have a mortgage and babies and debt. Do you think I'd listen to those wise ladies? No, because I was too smart and too young and I was never going to retire. Famous last words. I can retire in 9 years. So, officially, this is me teaching you not to make my mistakes. $10 is all it is to get started, and that's pre-tax. Put the money away before your loved ones show up when you get your first deposit from the city, and they say, Mom, Dad, I need XYZ. Or, honey, I just need, or I need to borrow some money, because it's your long-lost relative who found out you just got a job. And so, put the money away before they show up with their hand out. I took out cash this weekend, went this morning to pay for something. All my cash is gone. All of my little ones and my husband showed up, and they took it all out of my purse. And so, learn from my mistakes. Put the money away before your loved ones can come with their hand out. Not that you don't love them, but you want to do something fun in retirement. I want to go to Tahiti with my deferred comp money. I'm going to get there long before I retire, but I want to sit on the beach for a few weeks after I retire with my umbrella drink and my book and not talk to anyone. No offense, I love all of you, but I don't want to talk to anyone for a few weeks after I retire. And so you have to have a retirement goal in place. All of you are going to retire extremely young. When you look at what is available for insurance to retirees, when you look at job prospects that are open to retirees now, there might not be a lot of them out there. Time will tell. This is a way to make sure that you don't have to work. If you want to work, that's absolutely your choice. But this is a nice way to put away a little bit of a nest egg for rainy days, or for the what if, or I want a new toy in retirement and I don't have to go to the bank to loan myself that money. I already have it set aside. So learn from me, $10 to get started pre-tax. The city offers 3 different plans. Call and interview them all. Ask them, what are my options? I don't trust the stock market. What options do I have? You can tell them, I want it all in like Vegas, go full risk. Whatever you're comfortable with, they will interview you and figure out what's best for you. I will tell you this, all of the plans offer similar things. You want to ask them about how their cost is arranged in their plan. If they tell you there's no fee for enrolling or having an account, ask the person how they earn their paycheck, because there's a fee, whether they disclose it up front or it's hidden somewhere in the investment. So just make sure you ask all of the right questions. All right, last but not least, bottom right hand side of page 3, contact information. PERA has an Albuquerque office. Currently it has 4 staff members. Hopefully it will have 6 very soon. But you are welcome to call us or visit us. PERA-Albuquerque goes straight to me. I'm sure my phone has been buzzing over here in the corner. If you have a question, these beautiful people sitting here with you at New Employee Orientation do not work for PERA. Do not lean over and ask them your questions. Come to the source, because your retirement is an important piece of your benefit package. Agreed? All right. Excellent. Congratulations on your new employment, and welcome to PERA's family.